At the end of the day, the main thing that has a lot of power is prayer.
When you talk about helping the communities that are overlooked and that those are the ones I came from, those are the ones I relate to, and those are the people that I want in this room that needs to be in this room.
People think that just investing or starting a business is just for the wealthy, but it's something that every single person should have a right to be able to do.
A light bulb doesn't see the brightness that it illuminates because it's used to just being that bright, right? So a lot of times we have to get used to our accomplishments and who we are.
You different. Don't run away from it. You need to accept it that you're different. The hardest challenge is understanding that you are different. That you are different than your environment. That you're different than your parents. You might even be different from your friends.
Again, you have to acknowledge the ways in which you are from. You have to accept it. You have to grow from it. And you have to plan against it.
It's like, you believe in God, do you believe in God in you? And that's what we're talking about.
Stuck with this because I understood this wasn't about me. It was about giving back to those that weren't as fortunate.
Because I'm finding out how can we use our stories to portray the best version of ourselves, to build that influence.
It's about you taking the next step. And the next step that you choose to take is going to be the most important one. Because it's about you having the courage, it's about you having the gumption.
I believe it's important to take initiative. If I see a dirty towel on the floor, I'm going to pick it up. I don't want to live in dirt. I don't want to experience life the way that everybody else is experiencing life.
And seeing young people taking that step forward and investing in themselves is the biggest thing that I see.
I mean, at the end of the day, my whole heart, my legacy, and the impact that I want to leave on society is to be a disruptor, to leave an impact.
You know, and that's something that I pray for and God bless me with, for the people to just be just like me and to understand it and I can be around them.
Just showing people that they can. Because when people oftentimes get to a position where they think they can't and they don't, they stop.
As you're 20, it's important for you to have a relationship with God. It's important for you to prioritize your relationship with God. It's important for you to know about how to credit, how to manage your finances, and to network, to be in this room.
Look! This is the Eye of the Trenches!
Thank you all for coming out again. Today is our fourth annual Founders Forum series hosted by Social Storm LLC. My name is Corey Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO, and I'm here with my partner,
Ian Alphonse, I'm the co-founder of Social Storm LLC.
So we want to thank you all for coming out. If you don't know a little bit about us, we are a media company dedicated to giving entrepreneurs a platform to become successful. We do events like this on a bi-monthly basis to connect entrepreneurs to different resources. I teach financial literacy to different schools in the Chicagoland area, and then we work with different communities for economic development. So we're going to get started with our first panel today.
Good. Okay, y'all look good too. It's good to have y'all.
They're looking good. Absolutely amazing. We're so grateful to have y'all here today. So we're going to get right into the questions. Now first I want to know, because this panel's title is all about going from vision to execution, right? And really building those bridges between the vision that you have in your mind and bringing it to reality, because as we all know, that can be a very difficult process as entrepreneurs or when you have a goal in your mind in general. So let's start with the vision first. Before we get into the execution and the strategy, we know that's going to be a long process. When you first started in your position, what was the vision that you had for your business and the impact that you wanted to make? And y'all can just go down the line.
I guess I gotta start first. Okay, so you said I started Dream Hustle Code. Just to give a little bit of context, Dream Hustle Code is a nonprofit that I co-founded to teach kids financial literacy, tech, and personal development. So when I was younger, everyone usually starts off with wanting to bring awareness to things. And that's important because exposure is everything. What you don't know about, you can't become. So in the beginning, I just wanted to help as many people as possible see what was possible in the tech space and financial literacy. But in my mind, I knew that deep down, just being aware of something wasn't enough. It needed to be something deeper. So trying to figure out, all right, in my head, how can we actually make change in our community?
At the end of the day, the main thing that has a lot of power is prayer. To be honest, it's money. So how can we not only bring awareness and technology to people, but how can we help people get the skills that they need to generate money? Because if they have more money, they have more resources. They have more resources of what they can do. So in the beginning, that was kind of my vision on like how can I actually make that change that will have a long lasting impact. I think that answers the question.
It does, thank you.
Talking about vision, like you said, it starts with access and awareness. I would say for me, it wasn't actually my vision, it was the vision of my father. I don't know if I shared this in prior events, but I started off having an IEP because I had a progressive thyroid. And so I was placed in special education, but it turned out that I had a progressive thyroid. So once that was removed, and then I moved with my dad, things changed a little. So then I was able to kind of see the vision that he had for me of, hey, you don't have these obstacles that people told you that you had. You don't have these limitations that, you know, a lot of times they try to put on Black children. This is what you can do. You know, my parents paid attention to me, what I like to do, what I was good at. And that's where the vision came from, everything that I've been able to build today, of other people sharing their visions with me to help me kind of see what my vision for me was, and taking those pieces to put that puzzle together. Absolutely.
I would say that it came from my career, and I've seen us in my career. So, as she said, I started in the trade right after high school. I got in at 19. So I became a union electrician, and my first job was a $2.5 million solar job actually on top of Eisenhower High School. So that was just something very new to me, right? So I was looking for people that matched my age and matched the color of my skin. Why? Because I wanted to feel comfortable, right? I didn't really resonate with the 40-year-old woman who was just trying to tell me what to do, right? I wanted to find people that I can be able to share this journey with, right? Get found on the first job site, right? Second job site, I worked actually at the Obama Center for a number of years. So about 1.5 years I was at the Obama Center, and I didn't really see a lot of people that looked like me. I didn't really see a lot of people that I could resonate with, right? So I would get off work, and I'd go back home, and on my way home, I'd go to different stores, right? So I would see us at Walmart. I saw some people that looked like me. I would go to Walgreens. I saw some people that looked like me. I saw a lot of my friends, my whole classmates working jobs that really weren't fulfilling up their purpose, that really weren't fulfilling up their potential, right? They were taught in high school about how they wanted to do all these extraordinary things, right? But when I would see them, they wouldn't be living up to it. So I feel able to live up to my purpose. I feel like I was able to live up to everything it is that I wanted to do. Why? Because I had a solid foundation to be able to do so. My job. So I decided, okay, why aren't we living up to our potential? Why aren't we living up to what it is that we want to do? Well, I don't truly believe that you can do what it is you want to do. I don't believe that you can fulfill your purpose if it's coming from the point of desperation. You're looking for your purpose to really feed you. You're looking for it to pay your bills. You're looking for it to get you out of whatever situation that you're in. And I firmly believe that you should have a solid foundation to be able to do so. So when you are attacking your purpose, you are trying to chase your goals and dreams, you're doing it from a point of passion, not a point of desperation. So I decided to do motivational speaking. I just tried to bring awareness to the trades because I find that if you have that solid foundation, you can be able to fulfill your purpose a whole lot better. So that's not.
So my answer to that question for myself is I started investing in the stock market when I was 16 years old while I was working my first job at Walmart during COVID. And I wanted my money to last me out the summer. So for me, I was like, one way that people can do that is investing in the stock market. So while I started learning that, for a couple of years, I'm like, why is not other people learning this information? So I just see people that's on Wall Street that might be 50, 60 years old, but they can't really relate to Gen Z. So I can start creating a platform dedicated to sharing this information to youth across Chicago. So since 2024, we worked with over 1,700 young people here in the city of Chicago, South and West Sides, talking about financial literacy, the stock market, investing, while also creating a platform where we can connect and grow and develop the next generation of leaders. Because we don't see the positive things with the media, but we are more powerful together. The more we recirculate the dollars, the more we make smart financial decisions. We can create and economically change our communities for the better.
Politicians and had conversations about you building your own brand at the same time. So what's one piece of advice that you give someone who might be struggling to bridge that gap between knowing their purpose and communicating it effectively?
I would say share your story. And I say this a lot. Oftentimes we have parts of our story that we think either don't matter, that are traumatic, or that we're ashamed of, not realizing that that may be the actual part that somebody needs to hear to push them forward. I've had moments where me sharing my story with a really good client actually landed a six-figure deal, and that was the first time I had did this, and I was just like, I was so embarrassed. I was like, I know it's not. So it's one of those things where you have to take those moments where you think that aren't going to work for you and make them work for you. You have to take positions where you're intimidating people, or whatever that may be, and just use it to your advantage, understanding that you really are your brand. And by saying that is you are your story. Everything that's within you, everything that's a part of you is going to get you to where you go. You have to accept it. You have to share it. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you for that. I know it's strong being transparent sometimes, you know, so I love that you became a union electrician at just 19 years old. And you recently started your motivational speaking business at Sean the Undeniable. I want you to speak more towards the structure of building your business from the ground up. For somebody in the audience who might be starting from scratch, what's your advice on staying consistent even when the results aren't immediate?
So, first and foremost, I'm going to say, pray. That's first and foremost, because sometimes when God gives you a vision, you want to question it. Sometimes you want to do your plan, and you want to do your time. I want this to happen right now. I want this to happen immediately. I want to do what I want to do. No. You need to slow down. You need to pray. You need to use your discernment and first thing go to God. See what He wants you to do. And also, I would say, at the personal level, people say find your why, and I really just want to write that one because I feel like that's timeless advice. That's advice that's going to get you through hard times. That's the advice that's going to get you through the times where you don't have the engagement that you want. Your why is what's going to fuel you when things get bad, because sometimes life gets in the way of what it is that you want to do. You might have external things going on, right? You might not have the engagement that you want, and that why is going to really be able to center you. So, for me, becoming a union electrician at 19 years old, that was extremely hard. That was like one of the hardest things I ever had to do. I had to beat 2,300 people to get in, and they only took 60 spots. And I got in, I was going against people that were 30 years older than me, 20 years older than me, way more established than my young 18-year-old self coming out of high school, right? But my why was, I need to be able to experience something that I've never experienced before. I need to have my belly full. I need to be able to break generational curses. Our benefits are really amazing. I need therapy. I need to be able to heal myself mentally because I know what I want for myself and I know what I want for my future. And my mindset now is not the person that I want to be later. I need to be able to change. I need to be able to grow in every way, shape, or form. So that was my why. And that got me through every single struggle. Every single struggle. My brother is right there, who I went to school with, and his why was that he wanted to be able to feed himself. He wanted to experience something new. He wanted to break generational curses, and we got through 3 months unpaid. And your why will get you through whatever it is that you want to do. Because life is going to hit you, but you got to hit 10 times harder. That's it.
Thank you so much for that response. Corey, you're last in line. You've impacted thousands of people with Social Storm and educating them about financial literacy. You co-founded Social Storm with the intention to give young entrepreneurs the tools to win in life. So how do you help them move from learning the skills in the classroom and, the room where you're speaking to them to actually executing them and seeing results?
So the main thing for me as far as giving people results is just about being able to simplify this process. People talk about starting a business or starting their financial journey, making it in a way that's simple for them to understand. That's also engaging. People think that just investing or starting a business is just for the wealthy, but it's something that every single person should have a right to be able to do. And for me, it's just about finding people where they are and just kind of helping them find their vision to where they can be. Where your current situation now isn't where your future may hold. The people that you hang around right now is going to build that foundation towards the future. And for me, just seeing someone that's also younger that got to start at Walmart, started working at McDonald's, or someone that was a college student or an athlete, that you can utilize that as a resource, as something that's going to drive you towards your future. Teach those things that you learned at a young age to project. Continue to start early because time is your greatest asset. And a lot of people spend it just scrolling or things that might not benefit them. But now in this time of artificial intelligence, of technology, and community is most important. And that's something that I want to be able to build and showcase that we all have the power within ourselves. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world, but you can't control the government, you can't control the laws, you can control your attitude, you can control the people you're around, and you can control what you're going to do in the future. So that's the biggest thing that I tell people, just to control what you can control and have that positive outlet which can propel you to new heights.
Question is for you. Again, I'm going to say it again. You started at 9 years old. So as you speak to a room full of people who are likely just starting out, you're like 11 years into the game, I'm assuming you're 20 years old. So how did you maintain your vision throughout the longevity of those 11 years?
I mean, I gotta go back to what you said earlier, but it's about what's your why. But not only that, I think what made me do this for so long is I knew it was bigger than me. See, like, if the reason why you're doing something is because it's for you, sometimes that's not enough. But at the end of the day, how many of y'all got parents? Raise your hand. How many of y'all got siblings? All right? Each and every one of you has somebody in your life that you are doing something for. Whether it's you putting food on the table for your siblings, you want to take your mom out the hood and put her in a new environment, or you want to be a shining light to those that have no hope for themselves. So for me, 11 years into this, man, there was so many times I wanted to quit. I could be in college right now. Could have been in Howard partying, turning over my homies, playing D1 basketball. Well, I'm only 5'7", but you get the idea. But the only reason why I stuck with this because I understood this wasn't about me. It was about giving back to those that weren't as fortunate. Because I've been blessed. I got 2 parents where I got a support system around me. I didn't grow up rich, but I grew up with enough people who cared about what I had going on. Not everyone has that. And so for me, sustaining my vision, it was, what if I was able to give other people the same opportunities that I had? How much bigger would we grow as a community? How much more would we be able to get done together? So like he said earlier, what's your why? But not just what's your why. Make sure your why is bigger than you, because if it is, he said it before, it'll help you get past all the adversity and all the tough times. Because trust me, you don't want to quit, you don't want to give up, but that why is strong enough, it'll propel you forward.
Man, that was truly like 12, and he had this like clothing brand, or just anybody that you've been able to teach. How have you transformed their lives through Social Storm's resources?
So, someone one time when I was connected with someone, I go to a room, whole entire room filled with elementary school students, and most of them just didn't want to be there when I walked in. They didn't want to learn about stocks, they didn't learn about investing. So I ended up doing a presentation and just started asking them questions about what their goals, what their aspirations are, and how financial literacy can be a vehicle, like Deshaun said, it can be a vehicle to give you more opportunities and stability within your life. And by the time I'm done with these different questions, these kids are lined up looking to ask how I can get started, what type of stocks I can get invested in different ways, how their parents can tell them what type of accounts their parents should open. And that's the most powerful thing, that we can kind of transform that, turning money, your view of money from negative experience, your relationship with money, into something that's positive. Going away from not just never speaking about the dinner table to making the conversation on how can I open up my account and how we can continue to build and invest as a family. That is the true generational wealth that I believe is not in the monetary amount, but it's in the mindset and collectively how we can transfer it down to our children. And seeing young people taking that step forward and investing in themselves is the biggest thing that I see.
Amazing. This panel is titled From Vision to Execution, right? So you all spoke on how you got started, you spoke on the metrics of your businesses, but I want to know for the people out there that might be struggling, right? Execution often takes a lot longer than expected. You think you're going to make a profit in the first month of sales, and you make 2 calls and somebody tell you no, and you just get really discouraged, speaking from experience. The bridge can feel very shaky. So what's one challenge that you face in making your vision real, and how did you overcome that?
Man, listen. This just happened to me in December. So, okay, every year I host this virtual event called Teen Tech Live. So it's an event for middle school, high school kids from across the nation. They come in and join, learn about tech, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and really, again, expose them to the different opportunities in the space. So I do this every year. First year we did it 21. Second year we did it 2022 we had Kyrie Irving. Third year we had Larry Fitzgerald, Dame Dash, a bunch of other people. Fourth year, right? That's when we hit our first roadblock. This was like 2 years ago. It was a month away from the event. I needed $20,000 to do this event. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I told my pops, I said, look, if we don't do this, find the money in a week, I'm quitting. So what I prayed to God, I said, Lord, you could send me the resources. Please make it happen. I'm calling everybody on my phone, but everybody was getting hit. And then last second, one of my guys, shout out Kari, he was a former fullback for the Bears. He hit me back, he was like, yo, Ian, if you can write me a proposal, I'm gonna send it to the team, we'll make a donation to the event. So boom, 2 weeks before the event, they sent us a check for 20 grand. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Right? That's amazing. But then check this out. Next year, so this was last December, we were doing Teen Tech Live. Same situation. We had just done the Waymaker Summit, which is head of media sales at BET.
Just the lesson that I'm learning every day is that you are not in control of anything. You're not in control of nothing. There's not one thing that you are actually in control of. It's about you taking the next step. And the next step that you choose to take is going to be the most important one. Because it's about you having the courage, it's about you having the gumption, it's about you just taking that risk. Building your foundation and sometimes having to deconstruct what you've built is another one of the lessons that is part of that if you don't have control. Is because sometimes you can build it all up and it'll start falling and you're like, what happened? Like, I thought that I was building this right. And it wasn't that you weren't building it right, but when you move to a new level, the foundation that you build upon, sometimes you gotta take pieces out. Sometimes you gotta rebuild, you gotta reconstruct. When you bring other people in, you just have to re-strategize. And that control that you think you have, you gotta let it go. You have to completely scrap it because you just don't have it. And that can be so uncomfortable, it can be so scary, but that's where that faith walk comes in. You really have to have faith in whatever God y'all believe in, the universe, whatever it is, but you have to have that faith in yourself because I had somebody who was talking to me, we having a conversation, it was like, you believe in God, do you believe in God in you? That's the thing about it. You're not in control. Your path is already laid out. It's just the steps that you're going to take to get to what's meant for you.
So to answer your question, the hardest challenge for me was firstly accepting that I was different. Accepting that my mindset was different. To first even embody an entrepreneur, to walk like an entrepreneur, to talk like an entrepreneur, to want the results of an entrepreneur, I first had to understand that I was an entrepreneur. And I felt different. I felt uncomfortable in my environment. See, what I believe me, Sean the Undeniable, represents is, it's not just a name, it's a lifestyle. And I say that because I'm not where I am right now, where I'm sitting right now. Society told me that this is not where I belong. Society told me that because of my social economic status, because of who my parents are, because of the high school I went to, that I should be dead or in jail. So I say firstly, to understand and have that mindset to be able to open that door of entrepreneurship, that was the absolute hardest thing for me to do because I also was a product of my environment. I was also only told that I can, only play basketball, that I can only, just want to rap, and I just want to be nothing more than that, right? So firstly, having an understanding that no, I want to use my voice. I want to be an electrician. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be able to try to take over the world. I want to be able to conquer the world. That was the hardest thing for me. And I feel as though some advice I would want to give you guys is because I feel like I represent the same, some people in this audience right now. You different. Don't run away from it. You need to accept it that you're different. The hardest challenge is understanding that you are different. That you are different than your environment. That you're different than your parents. You might even be different from your friends. So be able to let go, let God, and have that understanding that you need to follow that purpose, however different it is maybe from your past. That's the absolute hardest thing for me. So, that's it. Thank you.
Meditation, believe, I use that as something to create resilience. From me being the smallest on the field to getting multiple Division II offers for football. For me to eventually walking away from football to jump into entrepreneurship. To starting this company and having no one else there but myself. For me, being able to continue to take that next step and allow people into my life to help me become resilient and build something bigger than what we're doing. Biggest thing I'd say last year, I was sitting in my class, and I didn't know where I'll be next summer as far as an internship or whatever I'm doing in business. So I had one of the professionals came into my school. I went up to them and I see what type of company they work with development. And they do some of the top developments in the United States. I told them about who I am, what I do. So I'm the one sitting in front of the class. I'm in the first row, everyone else is in the back. So everyone else walks out, I walk up to them and I tell them who I am, what I do, and then how can we create a long-lasting change within the community, and this is how I can do it. And 3 months later, after just continuing to reach out to them, I get a follow-up call, and I find out that I end up getting my internship with Related Midwest, one of the top real estate firms here in Chicago, developing onshore, outside Chicago, and competing with people all across the world, where technically I should have never had the opportunity if I never had took that next step forward. So a lot of people think that just because where you are now is where you're going to be, but just from having an extra level of resilience can propel you to new heights. Just from me just volunteering at events, gave the opportunity to speak at major corporations here in Chicago to different workers across the city about financial literacy, about artificial intelligence. Just from me volunteering at an event last year in October and following up, coming to speak at an event, and then someone else connects me to someone, and I end up speaking in front of a major audience. A lot of people say the top is lonely, but what is one mindset shift that help you move from working in isolation to truly thriving as a connector and collaborator?
Man, that's a good question. And I would first like to say, y'all gotta get around the people who are thinking just like you. Just like Sean said, it's hard to accept that you're different. It's hard to accept that you're an entrepreneur, that people, it's not like common of that. So when you start getting in these rooms, which y'all is right now, these are the people that you need to be around. Like, I'm blessed to even be on the stage and sit next to these people that I'm on the panel with right now, because they actually motivate me. We collab together, we support one another, and we just there for one another, because most importantly, we can understand one another's decisions, their mindset, and just their feelings. And that's something that I pray for and God bless me with, for the people to just be just like me and to understand it, and I can be around them. So I would say definitely change your environment, and then when you're around those people, it's gonna be easier for you to be around those people, and it ain't gonna feel like you're lonely, or it ain't gonna feel like you're just the only one chasing after a business or chasing after an entrepreneur dream.
That's so good. Yes, I love that. That's a dream. It's about your community. I have the privilege of reading Who, Not How. I have this privilege because my coach, the millionaire coach, Coach Angel, put me on to this book because I was really feeling isolated in my journey. I do a lot of things, I wear a lot of hats, and as God has continued to expand my vision, and I realize it's my responsibility to sow these seeds, I realize that I'm kind of running out of capacity. I'm doing more than 1 9 to 5 in this moment, and I need help, right? And I think really the start of something new is recognizing that you want something more than what you have currently. So I told myself, and I told my coach, I need help. What would you suggest? And she was like, read this book. And I realized, even in listening to the book, I'm like, wow, a lot of my success is truly attributed to the fact that I'm surrounded by the who's, the people who keep the engine running even when I am not in the room. My nonprofit organization is a success because I have a co-founder who is a powerhouse. She is from Nairobi, Kenya. So when she gives to community, that's her community just as much as the South Side is my community. So she's pouring her all into it. That's how we were able to receive 3 grants in 1 year. That's why we were able to partner with the University of Nairobi, Kenya. That's why we were able to expand and operationalize our vision. And she's amazing because she surrounded herself with other who know how to get things done. And so, luckily, I tapped her on the shoulder when it came to big energy. I'm like, hey, I need you to be my who. I love what you're doing with IAM, and I need you to help me expand my operations and human resources. And she's doing that. This lady, man, I'm telling you all, I love talking to people, I love connecting with people, but I got 233 unread texts in my phone. I promise I'm gonna try to get it to 100 tonight, maybe tomorrow. But it's so much information that's being thrown at me, right? And y'all don't even wanna know how many emails I have. But she's so on fire, like she literally followed up. We had a really important meeting. I'll try to keep this.
I would say I echo Justice's with me having to pray for the community that I'm surrounded by now. And in order to be able to receive this community that I have now, these people on this stage, people in this room, I had to get ready. And that meant that I had to work on myself. I had to be open. I had to go to therapy. I had to figure out why am I not attracting the people that are aligned with where I want to go. And I had to endure a season of isolation. I couldn't be around the people that wanted to drink and smoke every weekend. That wasn't my portion. And I had to get comfortable with being alone. I had to get comfortable with being the only person in my friend group that thought the way that I did. But once I accepted that and I started actively putting myself in the spaces that aligned with where I was going, not where I was in that current moment, but where I was going, and I manifested that in my mind and I was already there mentally, that was when I started to attract the people that were where I wanted to be. I met Ian last year. Ian was the first person in the group that I met. We went to the Maconomics Wealth Summit on the west side of Chicago. I was there on behalf of True Star, which is a media company that I work with. Do your research, they're a great company. And Ian was there, and I was like, oh, like, what do? Just networking. I had just graduated from North Carolina A&T, and, I'm just trying to get my feel for the city again. I'm born and raised here, but I was away for 4 years. And so Ian was like, oh, I'm, co-founder of Social Storm, and, just told me about their mission. He's like, I'm 19. I'm like, 19? Like, you the co-founder of the company, 19? So I look back at those text messages and I'm like, I wouldn't be able to fathom where I am a year later because that seed was planted. Because I was introduced to Corey after I met Ian. And then we spoke at our first event. They threw their first Founders Forum this past February. And that was such a paradigm shift for me when they threw that event because that was my first time seeing that there are other people in their early 20s that think like me. There are other people in their early 20s that aren't focused on the temporary and what's going on this upcoming weekend and how can I get to the party? How much the Uber cost? Who gonna hit up the liquor store? I'm sorry, I don't need the church, but that's the reality. That's where people's mindsets are in our early 20s. So that was a paradigm shift, and I'm just so grateful that I've done the work, I've done the healing, and I'm able to accept these amazing people into my life. And
I think that that's where community starts, is being able to accept that first.
Love that. I mean, being a part of this community, you know, I can say this much. Everybody has said something about the importance of having the right people around you, right? At the end of the day, you gotta remember who you are and whose you are, right? At some point in my career, you know, being 19, being an entrepreneur, you know, it didn't start as that. It started with me being in that transition from high school to college, not knowing what I wanted to do, not knowing who and whose I am, and just moving and allowing my day to shift whatever I need. In that time, I used my video games, I used distractions, I used negativity as a means to influence who and whose I am. My grades shifted. It's not the best thing, right? So in finding who and whose I am, it began by finding people who already know, right? People who are ahead of you. People who can influence you and inspire you, keep you accountable to do better, right? And this pursuit I found important. We both go to the same college, by the way. Hey, you from North Central College, right? Right on. But it started with me, of course. And the influence brought out the people who came from North Central on a college, me on a summer day, right? Made some work. Yeah. I mean, you gotta remember again, like I said, who you are and who you are. And then find
Everyone in this room made a decision to be present here. They could have been anywhere else. It was rainy, it was storming, but you all chose to be here. And we are continuing to push and pave the way towards the future. We appreciate you all. So my second question, I'll give some individual questions for Justo, the CEO. Justo, you're notable for connecting communities that might also be overlooked. In everything you touch, you teach, you advocate for, and spread faith in communities the average person might deem as lost. How do you integrate your entrepreneurial ventures like Credit College and your clothing brand Over East to empower these communities both financially and culturally?
I love that question because it really describes me and my purpose a lot. Like, my two businesses is my clothing brand, again, Over East, and then my other business is my credit business with Credit College. Credit College teaches you financial literacy, teaches you how to manage finances and how to get into credit and how to really use it. While Over East, it helps you, get fresh and, style yourself while also spreading the word of God through it. And when you talk about helping the communities that are overlooked and that those are the ones I came from, those are the ones I relate to, and those are the people that I want in this room, that needs to be in this room, that I'm trying to help. It's very easy to give someone some resources where they already have them, and talk to them about them, and they already seen them before. Where I come from, these resources, they was probably around, but they wasn't brought up to us. They probably wasn't very much important to us, or wasn't told to us that, hey, this is important, you should learn about this, you should be doing this. So I feel like God is using me as a vessel to make sure that I'm making these things are important. I'm making sure that as you're 20, it's important for you to have a relationship with God. It's important for you to prioritize your relationship with God. It's important for you to know about how to credit, how to manage your finances, and to network, to be in this room. And if that's what you want to do with starting a business, to learn how to do that and making sure that you have the right resources or how to find those resources to do that. So I would say really just bringing those two businesses together and making sure that, hey, yeah, finances are good, but make sure you have that relationship with God. And yes, you have a relationship with God, but that don't mean you need to be broke. You feel me? Make sure you can strive throughout life, get that life that God has for you by knowing about your finances, how to manage them, and how to create generational wealth.
Energy is the perfect name for an environmental sustainability business owned by someone who embodies such confidence. You have worked tirelessly to advocate for equitable access to electric charging stations on the south side of Chicago, and innovation and sustainability are the heart of your work. How do you balance being a disruptor and connecting sustainable electric vehicle charging stations for communities that might have otherwise been overlooked?
How do I balance being a connector That's a really good question. I mean, at the end of the day, my whole heart, my legacy, and the impact that I want to leave on society is to be a disruptor, to leave an impact, to connect people to equitable resources, whether that be in the ED space, whether that be equitable policy, whether that be making sure that we have food access, in all levels of government, all levels of social services. I want to make sure that everybody has equal opportunity to pursue happiness. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. And that's why our motto is where energy meets everyone, because this is one of the fastest, one of the vehicles that I'm using to make sure that we have equitable resources in our communities. I am an EV owner. I have a Jaguar I-Pace. It's my first car. And I learned in my charging experience that there are no DC fast chargers in my community. I have to drive on a day-to-day basis, either 40, 50, sometimes even an hour outside of my community to charge every day because I do not have access to a garage. There are so many people like me in the city of Chicago. And I meet my neighbors in these charging stations, and we're sitting waiting hours on end sometimes, especially during rush hour, on the north side or downtown, right off of work, to charge these vehicles. And we're disgruntled, and we're tired, and we're sad. And I'm tired of that being the narrative for people in my community that constantly have to outsource day-to-day resources just to get by. And so instead of being a part of the murmurs and the groans, God placed it on my heart to do something about it. Because I know I have the power to do something about it. And so I decided to activate and start the energy charging stations. So this is a part of like a long haul battle. I mean, before I was even doing energy in this way, I was also advocating on our public transportation system. Because I was a public transit rider since I was 7 years old. Right? This is my first car. I'm 25 years old. So for that whole time, I was on CTA, and I just saw our services get worse and worse and worse and more uncomfortable and even dangerous sometimes. There was a mass shooting on a line that I had used the day before to go see my great auntie. And this man randomly just shot up 5 sleeping people in the car. Right? It was on the blue line in the Forest Park area. And that was the day that I had decided that I was going to purchase a vehicle because I no longer want to expose myself to such a threat. Not everybody has that choice, right? And so
For my next panelist, Sullivan, the Leading Level Collective hosts monthly seminars and encourages growth personally, professionally, and spiritually. One of the things that makes your business unique, whether you're filming content, building your community, or having a business conversation, is maintaining a good environment to remain authentic. What is the importance of building relationships in business and branding?
Relationships are everything. I'm going to point to my sister Mercedes. She spoke on this last panel, and she talked about the fact that your brand is how you enter a room. Your brand is how you exit a room. Your brand is what people say about you after you're long gone and they are at their dinner table saying, I met this girl today, and she had this light about her. She was really passionate when she spoke about what she wanted to do in her vision for her life. I think I'm going to invest in that girl. I think I'm going to reach back out to see what she needs from me and how I can help this 23-year-old accomplish her vision for her life. Your brand and relationships are everything because somebody said before in the last panel, I forget exactly what it was, but you can have the degree, you can have the education, and I say this as somebody who graduated magna cum laude. Like, I take a lot of pride in school and being smart, but at the same time, relationships are going to be everything in how audacious you are when you're pitching yourself in conversations and how well you can articulate, okay, this is what I need, this is my business, this is how you can invest in me, and being bold about that, being unapologetic. Like, it was up until very recently that I had the courage to be bold. My catchphrase, everybody be like, do it scared, do it scared. If you follow me on Instagram, that's one of my series. I do vlogs where I do something that I'll be nervous to do, and I'll say like, okay, this is my day 7 if I'm doing scared. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see more. But, I think it's very important to build those relationships and be bold. And I was very private and secretive about things that I was doing because I felt like, okay, if I tell too many people, it's gonna get messed up. Like, raise your hand if somebody always tell you like, let it be, let me have the courage to be myself, and just allow things to flow is what I truly think is the key to building those relationships.
But Ian, you're a natural connector at heart. You have a gift of grab, if you will. This is extremely necessary business. What role has connection and collaboration played in developing and scaling your vision for your four-pillar marketing system? And the way you coach young entrepreneurs to thrive in both health and in business?
I first love to at least acknowledge again, so for her contribution as to what she had to say today, right? That's helped me so much. I appreciate it. But again, as it relates to what I have going on with the four-pillar system, it relates solely to your health, your wealth, your social life, and your purpose as it relates to your relationship with God, right? It was at a time where, like I said, when I was 19 in that transition from high school to college, I needed that help. I allowed my life to guide me and to shape me, to move me. Somebody said, let's hang out at this time, at this day, I'm there. Even if I had a contribution to something or someone else. Even if I had homework to do. That's not right. But having a four-pillar system or structures that guide your day, when you're putting yourself in a position where you're getting off task, you got something to look at, that you already set up, that you already have goals and systems and structures for. It helped me to change everything. When I put myself in a position to have those goals, to have the things and the tasks that I needed to do, it helped me to be able to navigate my life in a better way. I prioritize God. I prioritize my health and wellness. I prioritize my working money and career. I did those things. And in doing so, I've been able to educate other people, other youth between the ages of 17 and 24 who told me that they're going through their transition, but they don't know how to navigate. That's my whole point. That's my whole purpose. I feel like that's what I want to do until I turn 60, 70, 80. I'm sorry. At some point, somebody's going to be on the board. I'm just going to be watching from the sidelines. But I want to make the contribution to build a platform or a foundation for people who are going through that transition, who are in my position, where they need that mentorship, where they need that guidance, where they need that structure and stability. And that's like everything. So I appreciate y'all for hearing me out, and I hope that y'all embody that. Use the four-pillar system to change your life. And I'm gonna make sure that y'all follow me. I'm gonna make another post about it. Appreciate y'all.
Ourselves to build something for ourselves. Build, whether that's you owning property and you renting out to tenants or you fixing them for the properties, whether that's you starting a business, a non-for-profit, whether that's you taking out money to go invest into the stock market or anything. I feel like that's what we should be putting and getting into debt on ourselves. Because right now I'm getting into debt to go work for somebody else and make somebody else's dream come true, make somebody else's dream become bigger than what they thought it to be. And I feel like that's the biggest misconception. College is this. Me personally, I dropped out of college. I went to college to play football. I ain't go for the degree or anything, but during college, what I learned was I was a business management major, and I'm thinking I'm going to learn about, how to start a business, how to manage it, how to do this. And when I was in school, I didn't learn none of that at all. I learned about macroeconomics, and I didn't know what I was doing in, and just learning each and every thing else every day and trying to get a good grade on this so I can continue to play football. But in reality, I'm just here for football, but I'm like, at least I want to learn something about business. And I didn't learn anything. As soon as the season ended, I just made an LLC. I went on YouTube University and started looking up stuff about what I was seeing on Instagram about this, and I just made an LLC. And from there on, I was like, I want to drop out. You feel me? And when I dropped out, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what business I was going to start, nothing like that. But through the grace of God and through everything that, transpired in my life, I was able to figure it out. And I could gladly say that I didn't have to go to college for it. I could gladly say that I didn't have to go to college to be financially free. I could gladly say that I learned it, I'm not going to say on my own, but I learned it in the outside world where the real problems are going on, where you have to do trial and tribulation and learn from the fails in life. So don't listen to the older generation. Take their wise words, but again, man, you can't, and it's nothing to the older generation at all. I love y'all and I love the wise words, I ain't trying to dish y'all, but it's a new generation now, It's new ways to make money. Like, I make money off my phone. Unfortunately, y'all didn't have those opportunities. And I feel like as we being you guys, as next generation, we should make y'all proud that the work that y'all put in, the opportunities that you guys didn't have, and the obstacles that you had to jump over, and the hard work that you had to put in, that since y'all did all of that, and we have the opportunity now, I feel like we should take advantage of that. And again, not only don't listen to y'all, but also take advantage of the opportunities that you have now. Take those risks because your parents wasn't able to take those risks. Auntie and uncle wasn't able to take those risks. Unfortunately, our grandparents didn't even know about a risk to take.
Like big energy charging stations to the market.
That's a good question, but first, just so the CEO, you just hit my heart when it hurt. When you talk about the student loans, I was just like, oh Lord, Now, I don't got that much, but they do expect you to pay it back. That's a surprising fact I learned after I graduated. And the government often asks me for some money, and I'm like, sir, I still wait for my paycheck. I'm in government too. You know what I mean? Like, they trying to take away the public service loan forgiveness program. I'm like, oh, that was my plan. What's going on here? When it comes to introducing big energy to the market, it's really just addressing some of the misconceptions that exist in the space about EV charging stations, right? It's new, it's innovative, it's different, and so many people carry so many stigmas because it is new, innovative, and different that I have to demystify charging in addition to pitching the business, in addition to creating the business. And sometimes even when I'm engaging with different consultants and business experts, I have to teach them about the business and about the structure and about the model and about what I'm doing in order to get the help that I need. And oftentimes, like, we're learning together, and sometimes I really just want the immediate answer, right? And so I would say that's like one of the biggest challenges. Also, like, since Big Energy prioritizes addressing service gaps in the south and west sides of Chicago and surrounding suburbs, I often get, well, do those communities have EV cars, right? And in a room full of Black entrepreneurs, that was a question that the audience asked, and sure, it's a valid question, but we also have to think about our community and the power that exists in our community. I want you all to just raise your hand if you know about an EV car, a brand. Okay? Like Tesla, right? We all know Tesla.
So I just think if you're trying to build out a community or really any business, it's all about how you make people feel, and you're going to naturally attract those like-minded people to you. But if you want to follow and join my community, the Leader with Love Collective, DM me love on Instagram. My ad is wrong up there. It's Sullivan Grace Speaks. But if you type that in, DM me love. The Leader with Love Collective is for young professionals in our 20s who want to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually. So I would love to see you all over there. Just remember, your tribe is going to be what you make it. So if you support people, they'll support you. Just show up and have that integrity, and the rest will follow.
Absolutely. You'll never know who you'll meet on one of those calls. Some of the most impactful information we've received. For Ian, in your journey in building both Social Storm and Health and Wellness Hub, what key lesson about community building stands out to you the most?
It's hard. He said, Social Storm and my own personal business. You've got work, school, relationships, you've got a lot, right? But as it relates to addressing the question that you asked, as it relates to building community, it's for me about being a leader, right? Just showing people that they can. Because when people oftentimes get to a position where they think they can't and they don't, they stop. It's so much on my plate, and me telling you all my story and letting y'all know how much really is on my plate when y'all don't get to see it on social media. It just lets you all know how much more y'all can do. Y'all have been putting yourselves in a lot of predicaments that y'all didn't think that y'all could complete. Look at us today, we're at the Salvation Army Cross Center. I've been working here since I was 17. I'm 20 now. Thank you very much. I'm 20 now, right? This is our first event at the Salvation Army Cross Center, and nobody knew who me, nor Corey, nor Social Storm, nor any of these panelists, who we were, right? And building community, it really took building influence. After I built my influence, and I did build the workshops with Rainbow Bush, with the mayor, with now Congressman LaShawn K40, he's running for Congress right now. But at first he was a state representative when we were doing work with him, right? And building that community and that connection, it really started with the influence. And despite all the stuff that's on our plates, we have to find out how can we use our stories to portray the best version of ourselves, to build that influence. And so like Sullivan said, allow our best foot forward for the people who want to know who we are for who we are, right? And in doing so, people seeing you for who you are, they want to get connected with you. We got to the Cross Center because they wanted to get connected with us. So that's my message to you all as I'm building out Social Storm, Health and Wellness Hub, personal life, school, and relationships, whatnot. It's about building who I want to portray myself as and committed to impact, service, leadership, and legacy because it's bigger than me.
Each and every one of you has within your life. And my last question to finish this off, as connectors and collaborators, building bridges in our communities, what's one powerful message or piece of advice you want everyone here to carry out with them today? Something that can ignite their own journey from vision to impact in their futures.
Man, noticing that it gotta be vision first to go into the impact. Knowing that, and I told somebody here, I forgot, I think he left, but I was speaking to him about his business that he wanted to start, and I was just letting him know that when he starts, he has to show results. He has to show effort, because no one's gonna support you if you don't show results. If you just go around here talking about what business you want to start, talking about, Mom, I want to invest into this and doing this, nobody's never going to support you. And you can't get mad at it because, oh, this is your cousin or this is your best friend and you want them to support you just because they quote unquote love you and they just should because of the relationship that y'all have. You crazy. Nobody going to support nothing that they can't see. And you got to accept that. And when you accept that, it's like a challenge. Like me, it was like a challenge. Like, okay, now I'm going to start showing everybody everything that I'm doing. Create a safe space where entrepreneurs can come together and start growing personally. They start doing stuff. They started meetings. They start building businesses. They started events. And now people want it to come on. You know what I'm saying? So don't take it personal. Take it as a challenge. As you not only need to prove yourself to everyone else, but you need to prove it to yourself. Because how is you going to believe something? You feel me? That's in your mind. Like, I can think of a lot of things, a million things that's coming to my mind. But I ain't going to really actually believe and know it's true until I see something. So I hope that whatever y'all want to do, I'm proud of y'all because y'all going to start it. You know, and I want to see results. Just as everybody else want to do if they going to support y'all.
This is a beautiful question, and my word of advice to you all is why not you? Why not you? I had a friend come to me, and she was just like, you know, Abigail, you're always moving, you're always shaking, you're always putting yourself in everything. And, you know, I usually have tensions when I see people in the political space everywhere doing everything all at once. And oftentimes I ask myself, like, why does she think she should start this? Why does she think she should be here? She said, but then I listen to your story and I feel your passion and I know that you follow up and I got to see your character and I'm just like, yeah, this is a trusted space and she should be able to take up space in this room. And I was like, well, friend, thank you for the permission that I did not ask for. But I'm happy that you're happy that I'm here, right? Why not me? God put it on my heart. I see a gap. I believe it's important to take initiative. If I see a towel, a dirty towel on the floor, I'm going to pick it up. I don't want to live in dirt. I don't want to experience life the way that everybody else is experiencing life. And if I feel like I can be a part of the change and a part of the solution, then why not me? Why? When Big Energy was placed in my heart, it was 2 years ago. I was already doing environmental work, and I was just like, man, like, I really want to be in a sustainable space. I want to do something with sustainable energy. I know that people are doing workshops on solar. Black is Green is in my neighborhood. I knocked on the door. And then when they wasn't operational or they didn't have the door closed and they was doing their private events, I asked my senator to invite me into the room, right? I just continued to show up, and now I was in their community and I learned about all these opportunities. I'm like, man, I want to do something here, but I didn't know what yet, right? And God had placed it on my heart 2 years ago that I should do something with charging stations. I should do something with energy. And I was like, I have no I'm not an electrical engineer, and I really don't want to be. How do I start this thing? My friend nominated me for a pitch competition from a nonprofit. So
piggyback off of that, in the first part of my response to your question, Corey, I want to say that a lot of times we tend to bank on our insecurities. We are our biggest critics. We look in the mirror and we see everything wrong. It wasn't until I read a book called Healthy Arrogance, Who Better Than You by Will Packer. If you've ever heard of him, he's a producer. He went to FAMU, and he's produced billions of dollars in #1 movies for entertainment. And he talks about in that book the power of healthy arrogance and knowing that every single room you walk into is better because you are in it. And I think something that I've been saying I'm going to do for the longest, I need to get around to doing it. I've just been thinking about it mentally, is writing out a list of all my accomplishments. Because a lot of times, we do like the biggest things ever, right? And we have these just monumental things that we've done maybe years ago. Maybe it was in high school. Maybe you was the president of several organizations when you were in high school. Maybe you started an organization when you were in college. Maybe you got a full ride scholarship to college. All of these things I'm naming are things that I did. And I forget about it because a lot of times when you're in light and you're bright and people gravitate towards you, it becomes normal. Because you get used to your own greatness. And you get used to who you are, how you are, your character, your integrity, and the fact that people are approaching you saying that you changed their lives and how they're so proud of you and they love to see you operating in your purpose. That's normal to you. And so I think a lot of times a light bulb doesn't see the brightness that it illuminates because it's used to just being that bright, right? So a lot of times we have to get used to our accomplishments and who we are as people in order to portray that outwards. And I think that's one piece of advice I would have for you. Get real cutthroat. A lot of times we can get really cutthroat. And sometimes I doubt, like, am I meant to be in business? Because I just feel like I'm so pure of a person. Like, I just think everybody has, like, the best intentions ever. And sometimes I just get blind by things that people have going on. Maybe their intentions weren't right. But I have to choose every day to operate in that joy and operate in that purity and portray that outward so that I will continue to attract people to me that are also operating that same way. Like Coach Angel, I met her in February. And I strongly believe, the first time, I tell this story all the time. I tell everybody about you, Coach. But I tell this story all the time, how we met. And I truly believe because of the energy that I was embodying that night. We didn't know each other from a can of
Coach Angel, it made it out the new chat. We're all on a panel together. So showing how you can work with the people together and create something bigger than what you may be.
Raise your hand if y'all a little asleep.
Yeah.
It's going in. It's cool. Look. I'm gonna keep it brief. Right? Hey, hand clap if y'all like it brief. Y'all like it brief?
That's up.
Passing that again. Alright, so y'all, just for me, my biggest thing, my blessing I can show y'all is the way that y'all talk about yourself is what happens in your life, right? The way in which I've internalized self-doubt, negativity, and not thinking that I could do what I told other people I could do, because at some point it gets to a point where, like Sullivan said, it's hard and you want to quit. I allow myself a bit more times than that. Right? the way in which I shifted that, again, I've always talked about 4 pillars throughout this to the point where it got redundant, right? I shifted when I started journaling, when I meditated, and when I started being consistent at it. Understanding when I felt like I wanted to stop, that oftentimes came when I'm overloading myself, my schedule. And then finding that time to journal that, it let me know that that's really what I need. That's really what I do. Taking that time to first acknowledge your flaws, and then to accept it, and then to, after you accept it and acknowledge it, right, you gotta make plans to, as to how you're gonna grow and grow from it. After I did that, you know, it's helped me. And again, a lot of things have helped me, but how can you help you? Again, you have to acknowledge the ways in which you are flawed. You have to accept it, you have to grow from it, and you have to plan against it.